Hello, folks. Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Supreme draft. In case you didn't watch the other one or you're curious about how this works, we are going to be opening packs and we get the two best cards out of them and then we open a new pack. So this is going to be absolute pod racing turbo vintage cube. We're going to be building extremely powerful decks and we can see more than one copy of things like Black Lotus. If you want to see more of these in the future, please consider hitting that like button and help more people find my content. Okay, we have a pretty fair pack here. And I think this is going to be a pack where we take some things to hedge for the future. So I like the idea of picking up Blightsteel Colossus in case we find a Tinker, and I like the idea of picking up Urza as just a powerful fair card. If we open Moxen, and hopefully we do open more than last time, this can be a very, very powerful card and make our deck look something a little bit closer to a constructed deck. Other than these, I really don't like too many of the cards from this pack. Like, we could try to go in some sort of reanimator direction, but I don't know that I actually want to do that. This pack's a little better. There's a balance. That card is hot. There's also like Force of Will, Snapcaster Mage, Time Warp. Burrow is obnoxious as well, but Treasure Cruise and Dig Through Time are legal, and those might be better uses of my graveyard as a resource. I think I like Balance Force of Will. Even if I don't end up playing the Balance, having the option to play the Balance is really good. A Dak Faden, that's kind of like Moxen. Can take opposing Moxen. So Fractured Identity is a card that is better than it looks. When people are putting big dumb stuff into play, exiling your opponent's version of it and then getting your own version is really strong. I've been very impressed by that card. And I'm looking at Dak Faden, Spellseeker, and Impulse as the other viable cards from this pack. And I don't know what to do. So Fractured Identity and Balance really make me want to be a white deck. But Dak is great. And mana fixing is not the best in this format because you have to give up a real pick, like a very good card in many cases, in order to pick it up. I think I'm going to go ahead and pick up the Impulse here and skip the Dak. Pains me to do that. I love Dak. Coercive Portal can be a one-sided Howling Mine, which normally I wouldn't be super excited about, but theoretically we should pick up a bunch of artifact mana, and that could be helpful. I'm not super huge on a lot of the other stuff that I'm seeing here. I could pick up Emrakul, but again, I think an Olamog is much, much better. Like 10 mana is pretty easy to cast. Well, not easy, but reasonable to cast in a longer game. 15 is not. We would have hedged towards the reanimate direction early. We would have gotten rewarded for that. All right, let's pick up those things. Let's pick up those things. A Time Spiral. I don't think I'm a Time Spiral deck yet. I could become one if I pick up something like a Hullbreacher. I think I like Counterspell plus Golgari Signet here. Keep the Urza Dream alive. I don't think land tax and time spiral are out of the question either. God, if I would have gone the reanimator route, if I would have had the soul read on the future, could have had Bazaar. And survival, at that matter. I think I'm picking up Ponder here. And I don't know what I'm doing with my second card. Frost Titan is pretty eh. Could pick up a land tax. Could just pick up a fetch land. Or get my foot into red with Dreadhorde Arcanus. But I'm already trying to avoid doing that. Let's take Ponder land tax. Let's try to find better finishers than Frost Titan. Shark Typhoon? Is that what we're doing? That might be what we're doing. I'm looking at Shark Typhoon, Riftwing, Cloudskate. Is it Signet here? Shark Typhoon is a 6-mana card that doesn't win me the game, or I cycle it and it makes something small that can ambush something in combat. Maybe that card is just better in constructed than it is in limited. Let's pick up a piece of interaction and a Signet. Okay. Okay, yeah, see, here we fucking go. Like, Mox Pearl Tinker. I got excited when I saw the bribery, and then I looked at the rest of the pack. Alright, now this, like, artifact-themed white deck is maybe going somewhere. Alright, the Mana Vault is fantastic. That 100% is getting picked. The second card here is harder. Dig Through Time's fine. Amaria's Call as a white land that can accidentally be angels at the end of the game is reasonable. Luterial Core is reasonable. Commit Memory is reasonable. Memory Jar is fine. I think I'm going to take the Commit Memory. It can be a bounce spell or a counter spell and can be a draw 7. And if we randomly pick up a Hullbreacher, that's pretty darn good. Ooh, okay. Batterskull, Karn, Cryptic Command, Azorius, Signet stand out. I think because of Tinker and potentially Academy Ruins, or not Academy Ruins, Tolarian Academy, I want to keep picking this sort of stuff. Tezzeret can minus and immediately get Coercive Portal. Cryptic Command just better. Cryptic Command might be hard for this deck to cast. We would have gone the Reanimate route. There is an Entomb. Keep that commentary going. I don't know that Tezzeret actually does anything. Like, maybe its ultimate just kills, though. Like, I plus on tap for mana, and then the following turn, I just attack with a couple of 5/5s. Like, maybe that kills a high enough proportion of the time where I just ship that. Timewalk is gas. Timewalk is very good here with all this artifact mana. Very good. What's the second card? Winter Orb? Winter Orb is going to range from being devastating to unplayable. Is it Memory Jar instead? I think... Let's just click on this one. And Winter Orb can be a devastating sideboard card versus some sort of control deck. Or I can just take the Memory Jar, which is probably not making the deck right now, but could become very good. I get Hullbreacher and Narset to make it good. Alright, let's do that. Why can't I quit you, Mere Battlesphere? Why can't I do it? So we probably want to take Mere Battlesphere so that we have a second Tinker target that's reasonable. I don't really want the Mere Battlesphere here. I would rather, like, naturally find another Blightsteel or a Sphinx of the Steel Wind instead. But I have no ability to guarantee that. So I think I'm probably supposed to pick that up, and then one of Cloudskate, Impulse, or Spell Pierce. Probably Impulse. It's possible that with 6 packs remaining, I can skip on this, but missing is pretty bad. Oh, oh, oh. We have 2 Timewalks. Okay, great. What's the second card? Counterspell and Demir's Signet stand out. Again, with the Signet, we're just trying to make the Tinker and Urza plan as consistent as possible. I don't know that I'm holding up. Well, with Counterspell, I can hold up Impulse and Counterspell at the same time. Yeah, that's actually pretty interesting. Take the Counterspell. Oh, are we a Metalworker deck? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Borderline. I can just take a Prismatic Vista. I'm probably okay on playables. Winds of Abandon as a generic piece of interaction or sideboard card is also pretty reasonable here. The thing about Metalworker is I don't think it's going to be significantly better than a Signet a good portion of the time. I could take the Dig. I'm not great at putting cards into the graveyard, but some of that'll happen naturally. I can also just take yet another Signet. They kind of have diminishing returns, and I'm pretty likely to see more. Let's maybe take Prismatic Vista Dig through time. Those add new things to the deck that the deck doesn't have yet. Mana Drain is nuts. Fallen Shinobi is very good. That good enough to splash for? I have 1 black land. I have 1 black Signet. I have land tax. I have a Prismatic Vista. That card is really nuts. Like, this thing hits, you draw 2, and cast them for free. It's also just, like, it also just has 5 power. I don't know that on pick 15 I'm supposed to change from the plan. Although, I don't know, like, I could just, like, splash Fractured Identity and Fallen Shinobi and then not play land tax and balance. I do slightly need a higher artifact count than what I have for Tinker. I'm hoping to open some more power. I mean, who isn't? This pick's kind of hard. Like, this card is nuts. This is one of those moments where I ask you to sound off in the comments and let me know what you think about this specific pick. I'm going to take the Mana Drain. Mana draining and then playing some of this big stuff is hot. I think I'm gonna just try to keep my dream alive. Oh my god, another time walk? How many is too many time walks? JK. Let's not find out. Let's just play them all. Now what? What's the other pick? Hallowed Fountain? I don't think I need Remand when I have 2 counterspells, 2 impulse, 3 time walks, a mana drain, and a whole bunch of signets. Like, I think I'm good at the low end of the CMC scale. I would kind of like another win condition or two. But none of this stuff is really a win condition. I can consider wins for the sideboard or pick up Hallowed Fountain. I'm going to pick up Hallowed Fountain. Bribery. Bribery is another win condition. And then Force of Will or Worn Power Stone. Force of Will is pretty great. Well, difficult last pack here. We're just gonna click on 2 cards at random and pick them up. How does that sound? Holy shit. Okay. I don't think this deck needs land tax anymore after we just picked up 2 Moxen. Just to get a feel for my playable count, something that I usually do is pull out the lands and things that are functionally lands and just set those aside. So we're going to cut 6-ish. Emphasis on the ish cards here. Commit Memory probably doesn't make this cut. Memory Jar. Memory Jar definitely doesn't make the main deck, I don't think. A Tinker gets me Blightsteel or Mirror Battlesphere, and I can realistically cast Battlesphere. Blightsteel is potentially castable some games. Just kind of like mana plus counter spells. How many, like, business spells do I have? I guess I count this one as a business spell. That wins me the game a good portion of the time. I have 8, 9 business spells, I guess. I am very close to a mono blue deck. Get rid of this for curve-based reasons. Let's... And maybe I don't play Tezzeret the Seeker. That seems like the weakest of the cards that are in this pile. How often do I actually want to suspend you versus play Signet or hold up counterspell mana? I think not frequently. Cut you. This could be 15 lands plus Moxen. That might be fine. But I'd rather play one more. Like, I don't want to be using Time Walk as Explore, if possible. I'd like to be generating slightly more value out of it. This doesn't hit artifacts, which is hot. I might have too many counterspells for this deck. Like, maybe I can get away with playing 4 in the main deck and have 2 that I can sideboard into. I have never had to evaluate what to do with the triple Time Walk deck before, so that's pretty hard. Nine one, about like 8-2. What does 8-2 make this look like? So I have 8, 9, 10 blue sources, and 1, 2. Actually, that's not 2. True. I have 10 11 blue sources and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 white sources. We can probably get a touch greedier with that even. Now this is 9, 10, 11, 12 blue sources and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 white sources. 6 white sources for 2 cards that don't need to play early is probably about right. Okay. I am happy with this. Let's see how it plays in practice. So our round 1 opening hand is kind of interesting. It only has a single land, but we are on the draw, and our opponent has mulliganed. If I hit a land, I just get to go Signet, followed by Signet, and then cast Urza. Oh, actually, I guess that's a little weird, because the Signets are going to filter my blue out. I probably don't have early Urza, so I'm going to mulligan this, try to find something a little smoother. Yeah, this is fine. So I'm going to play a turn 2 Coercive Portal, and then turn 3 Time Walk and Impulse. This is fine. I'll put back 1 land. One has mulligan to 5, which means they're either unlucky or they're doing something extremely unfair, like, say, Reanimator. I don't think this is better than just casting Coercive Portal next turn. Does my opponent just have, like, Spell Pierce, and they're trying to figure out whether or not it's worth it to do this? So this slows down my hand a bit. I can use a Time Walk as an Explorer at some point. My opponent's pretty low on resources. I think I'm just going to take Explorer here. So I'll Impulse on my opponent's turn, and then I'll play my one-sided Howling Mind and be happy about it. Howling Mind, sorry. Oh, as a note, I made one change to the deck list before I started playing this game. I took out the Force of Will and put in the Commit Memory. And the reason for that is that all my blue cards are just so good that I didn't think I wanted to be pitching anything to Force of Will. Yeah, there wasn't really anything I could do about that, unfortunately. Counter spells? Counter spells are fine. Is that better than Mox Pearl? Mox Pearl stock goes up a lot when I have the ability to just draw a whole bunch of cards. I already have 1 counter spell or bounce thing in my hand. I'm just going to pick up the Pearl. It is possible I am supposed to just hold up commit memory this turn. But YOLO. So I vote homage, and then I draw cards. Great. That's fine. That's not the best for me, but I will live. The Mox Pearl that I picked up off of that impulse is looking really good right now. This is the first time my opponent has seen Coercive Portal. They're probably frantically reading it. These Will of the Council cards are not worded very cleanly. Oh, yeah, another Mox Pearl. Game. I think this is worth tapping low for. I only have 3 mana available right now, so I don't have commit memory available in this turn cycle, but this is fine. I have a win condition in play. I have an additional mana source in play. Ah! Opponent gets it. They know what's up. Oh, bribery. I'm going to assume that this is very good. We're tapping the Pearl for blue. You can't stop me. I also get to learn the exact contents of my opponent's deck. Okay, they do not have very many creatures. You'll give me just a moment here. I need to save my own screenshot now. So this is deck. That can go to desktop. Now I will snip their deck. All right, so I will take your Muldrifter. The opponent is primarily looking to win via Planeswalkers. And I've played my land, I've played my land. I think I'll call that turn. And I can attack for 2 in the air every turn. That's fine. And if my opponent ever attacks with their construct, I... Oh, that's cute. Yeah, opponent is going to have a lot of whiffs with that. Yeah, that's fine. So if my opponent had the mana to activate Urza again, they probably should have done it pre-combat in case they hit one of their signets or lotuses or coalition relic or moxen. They get 1 more point of damage in that way. I will untap 1 land. There is also a world where I can think about just naming Carnage once I get a little more ahead with cards. Balance. That's interesting. I don't necessarily think it's good. It's interesting. A nice safety net for if things go wrong. I think I want to hold up commit memory this turn. That means playing that. I'll crash in for 7. Kind of a nuisance. That stops me from drawing cards with Coercive Portal. Alright. Oh, I have to do this a different way. Let's do this, that. This is a very weird game through a Winter Orb. So they can spin again if they are willing to tap the Winter Orb. But then that lets me spin. So it's quite weird whether or not it's actually correct to do that. Freeing up all this mana is maybe too spooky for them. Should I vote for Carnage now? Offer them that? I might vote Carnage. Actually, voting Carnage is rough for me in this exact turn cycle. I don't get to do anything. Their Urza is better than my Urza. I have a balance for afterwards. But balance isn't really good against their deck. I keep naming Homage. I do have this commit memory in the graveyard. I could also start spinning my wheels. I can tap 1 land in order to spin with Urza. I have well, maybe not a lot of hits, but I have some pretty darn good things that can happen here. I might want to start sandbagging some stuff. Or if I do just name homage. I'm probably in chump block with Mold Drifter territory this turn. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. What do we got? Dig through time. Fractured Identity is great. Tinker is great. Counterspell's not bad. Take. Let's hit tokens. Yeah. Take Fractured Identity. Tinker. Oh, I did, okay, I see what happened. I should have attacked there. But I don't know that holding back is all that big of a deal. Holding back is a little bit better if they spike a Planeswalker or something off an Urza hit. Like, all that I'm giving them is a Trinket Mage that's still alive. If I just kill this, I can just double block this turn and kill that. They have 0 cards, so there's no tricks. I can just, like, accept the 2 for 1, and then have Tinker for Blightsteel. Or, like, take a turn, Fractured Identity, Urza, to shut off their whole, like, Winter Orb shenanigans, and then Tinker Blightsteel. Yeah, I think I like it. We'll untap this. All right, the signets are not bad. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. So this casts this currently. So I can go down 1 mana in order to cast a signet. This is still 5 mana. I'm willing to play the Hallowed Fountain on tap. I can play 1 more, but I don't think I need to do that. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll Fractured Identity your Urza. And this keeps you better locked under your own Winter Orb. I will keep this Urza. I have done this primarily for the monstrous token that I get. Which I can probably just win the game with. Gonna untap that. Seems like an okay time to untap that. Ugin, Bribery, and to a lesser extent, Jace are the things that are relevant in my opponent's deck as of right now. Yeah, sure. Now my opponent's Jace or Teferi looks pretty good. They bounce the construct. Okay. That occurs. Battle Ball. So I untap one land. I 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7 mana this turn, so I can cast Mere Battlesphere. Also just like cast Fractured Identity, go for a kill, and then Time Walk afterwards, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. Yeah. So let's. I guess this doesn't technically kill this turn. But it's pretty darn close. Yeah, I have a lot of lines available to me here. They're all pretty good. Don't even know like which thing to start with. Maybe I shouldn't have played this. Because now if I want a Fractured Identity, that Trinket Mage, I have to tap the Mana Vault. But getting that Jet means that fetches are off for my opponent now. Impulse? I can also just cast the Time Walk now. And then make a decision about what to do with the remaining mana post-combat. My opponent Force of Wills, they die to the construct that's on board. And that's their out in this situation? Yeah. Alright, that was a weird game. That was a very weird game. So my opponent's deck doesn't actually have that many cards that matter, like quote unquote. They have 5 Planeswalkers and a Bribery as cards that matter. Well, I guess Fractured Identity and Urza also matter. But if I use my counterspells well, I can probably be in pretty good shape. I think I like the Tezzeret the Seeker and maybe the Riftwing Cloudskate as well against this opponent. If we end up in that Winter Orb situation again, being able to untap my artifacts is great, and being able to bounce something out of play seems good when my opponent has a handful of Planeswalkers. Bribery still gets their Urza, and I think Urza is like going to be a defining card of the matchup. I don't think I like this balance. We both just have so many artifacts. And then everything else looks pretty good. Might go on long enough that I can cut one mana source from my deck. Or I could just cut the Bribery, because like Bribery gets Urza, and if they've already drawn the Urza, it just gets a Muldrifter. And don't know how I feel about that. Let's pull the Bribery. Okay, this hand has no business, but has a lot of acceleration. I think I'm going to keep this. Like, I get turn 1, Mox Pearl, and one of either the Signets or Riftwing Cloudscape, depending on what my opponent does. That seems good enough of a start to the game. I'm leaning towards just casting a Signet right now, but like this is not a bad turn 1 play by any stretch of the imagination. Alright, well, that gets them out of their mulligan. Time Walk. What if I just cast Time Walk on turn 1? Land Pearl, Time Walk, land Signet Signet, cast Riftwing Cloudscape, which can bounce their land the following turn. Yes. Do not mind if I do. And now we just need to draw like a business spell of any nature. And we have all the mana in the world to cast it. Like, even something like Battle Ball is just going to be good. And if my opponent uses a counterspell on this, cool. If they don't, cool. Anything that paves the way for my broken stuff is what I'm looking for. Force of Will is excellent for us. We will take that 2 for 1. That's pretty good. That shuts off some of our good top decks. So Impulse, Impulse, Time Walks, Urza, Portal, Bribery, Tinker. Basically all the stuff on the right will be good. So at approximately 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hits of 30. Ah, shit, Bribery. Bribery kills me next turn. Well, okay, Bribery kills me when they can cast it. Is not guaranteed to be next turn. Or does it? Alright, so this is the turn where I decide, do I Fractured Identity Narset, or do I let them Bribery me and then try to Fractured Identity and get my own Blight Tool Colossus or Mirror Battlesphere? Alright, how do I beat Bribery if I Fractured Identity Narset? I counter it. I use Narset to find a counterspell. I will have 3 counterspells to hit and 2 turns to find it. I will get 10 total looks at cards. And Timewalks and Tinkers and Dig Through Times and such will be redraws. Alright, I think I'm okay with taking what is a little bit of a risk here. In getting rid of this Narset. Timewalk is great. I will just cast that now. Activate the Narset again. And take another look. Oh, that's fantastic. Order of operations. I think I want to Narset minus first. I'm not 100% sure on that. I can just Tinker for Battlesphere. So that's 3 mana, Tinker for Battlesphere. Then I can Impulse for a counterspell if my opponent does something. One of my 3 counterspells will be on the bottom of the library. But this is a very aggressive play. My opponent has a Jason or Teferi that can be good against getting Blightsteel. Alright. The Tinker is not particularly replaceable. I didn't find a counterspell to back things up. Hers is not bad. But if my opponent goes Jace or Teferi now, I didn't find the way to protect this play. Oh shit, now they have a few more things available to them. Fractured Identity? Alright, so they can Bribery for my Mere Battlesphere. Which is fine. I guess I shouldn't play this pre-combat and give them this information, but I think their lines are pretty forced here. Yeah. And we pick up the W there. I don't know that my lines were right. I could have played a little bit more conservatively, but I figured tinkering for the Blightsteel before they can bribery me and take that means that I end up with a better creature. But if their draw for turn is not like one of these and is instead Jace or Teferi, and I don't find the counterspell, it's not actually great for me. Tricky spot. All right. For this round, I have an okay starting hand. It's not overly exciting, but we have some interaction. We have some acceleration. There's plenty to like here. There's plenty to like here. So we'll jet, we'll time walk, we'll use that to make another land drop and draw the dig through time, and then we'll have counterspell up for our opponent's turn. That all sounds fantastic. And even gem this Signet too. I guess I also just have like commit memory open. This non-land? This non-land. We can't just like bounce our opponent's land for the lulz. I only need to put one card in my graveyard in order to cast this Dig Through Time, which is just insane. I wanted them to cast a spell. Oh well. So now I can just cast this Dig Through Time whenever I want, but I think it's better to just hold up mana on my opponent's turn. It feels like I'm doing something more unfair than my opponent this round, which is awesome. Do I just dig instead? 3, 6, 7, 8. I probably just dig instead. The dig can get spell pierced specifically, or I guess dazed. Oh, maybe I just like slow my roll. No, I want to dig. And then, oh yeah. Oh yeah. And Fractured Identity, that, and Time Walk. 3, 6. No, I'd have to hit a land drop to do that, but I think that's probably fine. Or at least keep the Fractured Identity around. Actually, maybe Fractured Identity isn't great in the face of Riftwing Cloudskate. I'm gonna take Impulse and Time Walk instead. My cat is on my counter, but I think I'm powerless to do anything about that right now. Don't think I want Blightsteel Colossus. I already have white mana, but my life total is probably not super relevant, so I'll pick up Hollowed Fountain. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can cast Time Walk with a counter spell up here. And play a tapped Hollowed Fountain. It's gonna like jam Battle Ball. Balance. I can make my opponent discard a few cards. I don't know that this balance really is better than just jamming, though. Let's jam. And then I can bounce something to my opponent's hand and have counterspell available. Everything else was cool, and we draw the line at that. I would have Force a Will Dig Through Time. 100%. That's super interesting to me. Alright, so now they have a Demonic Tutor, which might mean a counter spell. I can get a 2-for-1 with a balance. And play balance, kill their creature, make them discard a card. I would lose a land in process of doing that, so maybe that's not actually all that good. My plan might be to just reload using this. Also just like bounce that, get it out of the way. I'll do that maybe if it's in danger of transforming. Well, oh. Didn't they have an opportunity to do that when I didn't have mana available? There might be a world where I just do this on this card so that my balance looks better and makes them discard a couple of cards. Or I have the option to just memory. I do that and hold up blue blue. Oh shit, I forgot about that. Oh, I fucked up. So by countering the Riftwing Cloudscape, I put the last card into the graveyard needed so that they could Ancestral. Alright, if this balance resolves though, kinda hot. I'll lose a land in doing it. Okay. This is more likely to just pave the way for the Urza to actually resolve. So I'll keep 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think the library is super great here. And I get to undo the value of the Ancestral that my opponent got last turn. Which apparently their hand was full of relative junk. Alright, well. They know what I've got coming, and presumably some of their better cards are on top of their deck. So, in their graveyard, they have a Demonic Tutor that they can just get with Jason this turn cycle. Rough. Not necessarily something that I was expecting. So now that the board's empty, they can just do that. Alright. New plan. That is frustrating. That is very frustrating. And kind of like before balance can come out for Tezzeret. I think that's all that I'll do. That was just a perfect instance of my opponent having a sequence that walked me into a trap. I really don't like having this Blightsteel in hand, but this hand is too powerful to throw back. Urza is very good. We just have turn 2 Urza with 2 artifacts already in play. God, I hate signets. Timewalk is insane. I think I'm going to go ahead and attack first and do that afterwards. I can already play around like a mana leak as is. So I think in case I hit another artifact, I should go ahead and do this now. Didn't my opponent have a chance to counter Timewalk with Spell Pierce? Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pretty far off from casting this Blightsteel. Now our counter spells are off. Boy, that's fucking tilting. Because if we get mana drain, any reasonable spell, we'd then Blightsteel. Yep. That would be 11, and then any mana source off the top would be Blightsteel. What is best course of action here? Probably Fractured Identity Teferi. That gets me a Teferi, which bounces the Urza back to my hand. Cool. This has just been a game where our opponent has had everything to possibly ruin me at every stretch. For example, I think we can throw in the towel here. We're done. All right, final round with this deck. We're starting with a library hand on the draw, so I think I will be keeping this one. Our hand's not great against an aggressive start from our opponents. Like, given that aggressive start, am I just supposed to play a Signet instead of trying to milk value out of this library? If I play Signet this turn, I can just play coercive Portal next turn and start drawing cards or threatening Carnage. That's probably better. Like, if I start dicking around with library, it encourages me to continue doing so. Um, I discard one card and lose one land if I balance. I think I want to put this portal in play and then balance. Hope my opponent makes another land drop. I guess that means I'm supposed to play the library this turn, so I can sacrifice that next turn. All in all, I think I'm good with that. The white counterspell would totally get me here. Just throwing that out there. Oh, shit. I clicked the wrong shortcut on my mouse. And now I probably die. That is frustrating. And now I can't also, like, counterspell plus balance because of this signet. Oh, this is frustrating. I guess I want to get more cards out of my hand before doing this. Oh, wait. So I keep 3. So I want to click on, like, probably this, this, this. Yeah, imagine if I did this the previous turn, because I didn't F6 through my turn. I guess more accurately, I F2'd. I think I'm just going to hold up all my mana for this turn cycle. Mana Crypt is, like, technically a win condition. I think I just let them redraw that later with commit memory. I'll go to Wanda Impulse. I think so. Any realistic creature hitting me will kill me, so. 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we're not to Blightsteel. I think I like Counterspell over Ponder. Bribery. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can cast Jet. This is probably just a Time Walk turn, though. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but I need 4 blue pips in order to do what I want. Let's just cast Time Walk, which just gives us another draw off of Coercive Portal. And I guess if I cast Time Walk, then Bribery is fine to just cast. Like, if that is already resolved. And I don't need to be holding up Counterspell. Sure. That's the punish. I didn't play around Mana Tithe in Supreme Vintage Cube. That's on me. Actually, I guess I don't want to do that one. No, playing Urza is fine because that gives me blue mana from Urza's ability. Now I have a 7/7 with 2 counter spells available. And my opponent is dead on board next turn. Okay. I do not believe that we beat the... I don't believe I won through F6ing through my own turn. F2ing through my own turn. But if you look at the caliber of cards my opponent played versus the caliber of cards I played, there's a very big difference. Like, I love those styles of deck, but that's not what I'm looking to be doing in this format. I don't really have removal spells that I can board in. Riftwing Cloudskate probably needs to come in over something. I don't know what. But just the ability to bounce some of their stuff and take a little bit of pressure off me is probably fine. I can also consider Force of Will, since I do have some degree of inevitability over my opponent. Like, Force of Will might be better than Counterspell when I'm on the draw, for example. Let's try submitting this and see how it feels. This turn 1 Ponder for a land. Turn 2 play Cloudskate or Signet or Time Walk. It might be better to just mulligan this hand. I have 2 cards that aren't really live. And a bit of a clunker. If the Ponder hits 1 land, for example, am I supposed to keep that? I think I'm just going to mulligan this and try to find something a little more stable. This qualifies. Blightsteel can go back in the deck for Tinker reasons. Alright. Normally I'd say we don't need to play around Mana Tithe anymore, but another one could theoretically exist. Love seeing Urza here. I think I'm supposed to play the Urza and then Time Walk afterwards. Recruiter is going to go and, like, grab Skyclave Apparition? Or do you have something better than that? Thalia. Interesting. Like, Skyclave Apparition taking the Mana Vault looks good on that board, and if I don't do something with the Mana Vault, or if I do something with the Mana Vault, taking the thing that I do is pretty good. Because of Thalia, I might want to Time Walk now prior to playing Urza. It's just a little cleaner in case I hit something like a Strip Mine. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. And this is a great reason to. So this taps for 3. I can go ahead and play a Groll Signet. Activate that. Play an Urza. Now I have a 3/3. And I also have Impulse available. Alright, it wasn't Strip Mine, it was Wasteland. But I was definitely thinking about the right sort of stuff. A Gideon. Both my Force of Wills are in the sideboard, so I guess that's resolving. Would be a great thing to Fractured Identity. Time Walk. Time Walk's only okay here, but I think it's the best of this bunch. So I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, untap it, spike a land, and then I can cast Time Walk. I think I'm just going to take the 1 damage. Balance. Well, I can't cast that. 4, 5, 6, 7. My attack this turn isn't good. I can just lose my construct, which can become bigger. I think I'll go ahead and just Time Walk here. Take another point of damage off the Mana Vault. And try again next turn. Prismatic Vista is going to get me a white source. And then I can cast Dig Through Time. I guess my question is, when do I do that? Probably on my opponent's turn. Cost me 4 mana to do that now, leaving me with 2 if I'm willing to tap the construct. Yeah, I think I do that on my opponent's turn. Excuse me. And I just kind of hope that my higher on average card quality carries me through the second half of this game. Just got a notification that this format is only here for a couple more days. I guess it is just very short-lived. Like half of my life this turn. The fact that these aren't formally creatures makes my balance just so super awkward. Are there worlds where I want to dig through time now. No, because I can have blue available for a counterspell later. Alright, I'm just going to eat this. Now I have to plan out the rest of the turn. I'll go blue. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I can counterspell that. I didn't really get a second hit. Or did I? Can this hit tokens? I can't attack the Gideon for enough to kill it. It's... Yeah, it has 5 loyalty. I can hit it for 4. His balance is so awkward against those 2 creatures that are going to dodge it. I need to take counterspell and then just any artifact to make my team to make the construct larger. Also let it resolve, try to get a second construct. Can also take double artifact and try to grow larger than Gideon, but then I just die in the air in 2 turns, and I have the mana vault too. All in all, not great. Oh god, Fractured Identity is so good. So how do I beat the Smuggler's Copter? That becomes the question. I can Fractured Identity to Gideon, get my own Gideon. And the Smuggler's Copter kills me in 2 turns. I can Fractured Identity the Smuggler's Copter, but then, like, those Gideons and tokens and stuff are going to eat me alive. And balance is never going to interact favorably with this. Could Fractured Identity this knight, get a knight, attack and kill Gideon. This is the problem card. This also is not great. I could exile the Smuggler's Copter. Which grows my construct by 1. Issue is that Fractured Identity is also one of my best ways to beat Gideon. I guess I could top deck something like a Mirror Battlesphere and try to beat the Gideon that way, or Tinker. I'm not on a whole lot of outs. I've used a good portion of my dig. Yeah, I just don't think I can beat this thing sitting in play. Boy, this is awkward. Hey, all right, I guess I want to do it like this. Now I have a 5/5. If I attack, it kills this knight token so that Gideon stays alive. And then I chump block Gideon, take 3. And I'll chump block Gideon with like this. Take 3. Maybe go to 1 off Mana Vault. This is crew 1, right? Yes. An issue is now that thing goes up to 6 loyalty. Means it's harder for me to attack and kill it. It would not give me more information prior to combat unless you have a very good reason for doing that. Now I chump with Smuggler's Copter. Now I will 100% loot. Balance. Is balance good now? Balance will kill a Recruiter of the Guard from my opponent. Balance does not seem particularly good. Which is strange. And I think I have to take this damage. Okay. Well, so I go 1, 2, 3, 4. Play a Coercive Portal. That turns this into a 5/5. I can send the Construct at Gideon, and my opponent could wipe their entire team to kill the Construct. I think they just take the hit at Gideon. But I've been wrong before. Carnage. Carnage destroys all non-land permanents. My opponent has 2 cards in hand. But Carnage might be good for me. That Gideon is really problematic right now. I would go down to just a few lands and hopefully draw out of it better than they would. Gotten an extra card. I might need to just pay for this here. Interesting. Awkward. So I can attack in with everything and try to kill the Gideon, or I can just like bounce the golem. I can bounce the golem, attack in with the construct, get a chump block. My opponent attacks in with two different things. I chump block the Gideon. Kind of puts us back into a similar place as where I was at the beginning of the turn. I overtapped for this, but I don't think that matters. Actually, what if I attack both creatures at Gideon? It requires a double chump or Gideon dies. I can get attacked back for 1. Yeah, that's just better than what I was planning on doing. There's hope for me yet. Skyclave Apparition. Oh no, that can't hit this. But a removal spell that hits this and allows Gideon to swing in kills me. I might be getting to the point where I'm actually favored. Any artifact means that this is bigger than Gideon. Now I'll take cards. Do I untap that? I don't think I untap that this turn. I'm going to take that 1. So I have 5 mana. Let's start here and spin the wheels with this. Holy shit. Yes. 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 I will pay the 1. I will shuffle away Mana Vault. Is Battlesphere just better than Blightsteel? Battlesphere might be better, just like in terms of safety. Ooh. And our opponent has conceded the game. That was a slog. Also, Moto, like, the game's over. Please inform me that the game is over and give me my play points. I need them. Okay, overall thoughts on the deck. This is definitely better than the previous deck that I drafted. Our time walks weren't always as good as you want a time walk to be, because a lot of our early turns were just set up and deploying mana. But even just using time walk as like an explorer was pretty good for this deck. The things that I can say about this deck are things that I could say about most decks. Like, could have used a couple more pieces of power. Like, an Ancestral in particular would have been really good. Like, having a few things that drew extra cards were really important. When we did things like have Coercive Portal in play, it was just so apparent how much better our deck was when we could get some card advantage. So a couple of things like Jace, Narset, Ancestral probably would have been pretty good additions to this deck. The the Tezzeret that was in the sideboard perhaps could have been in the main board. Balance was not as good as I was anticipating it to be. In particular, this last match showcased that, where we were playing against a white aggressive creature deck, and our balance wasn't really good. So that was super, super strange. Maybe you're not supposed to play balanced main deck in this format, because there's just so much more artifact mana than normal. So maybe I should have started with the Tezzeret in the deck and the balance in the sideboard or something like that. But this was really fun, and I enjoyed it a lot. If you enjoyed it, please, consider the whole like, subscribe sort of thing. It really helps with the channel analytics and encourages me to make more content. Have a great rest of the day. Hope to see you again soon for another video.